Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Monday, December the 8th. Hope you guys had a great weekend. We're back to our pre-market preps and our normal schedule. What's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Let's go on to, of course, the charts, and we're going to go on to some of the tech names here as well in a bit, and then we'll go on to some other tickers. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Good morning, KOB Roots, Andreas, Daniel Lamont, Jeff. What's up, everyone? Vate, Cody, 50, Dragon, Sinna, Juan. Good morning, Eileen, Ryan. What's up, everyone? Hartik, Alejandro, Hector. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Let's pull up the Forex Factory. We'll pull up the economic calendar. We'll pull up the earnings calendar here before we get started. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys had a great weekend. Let's do this. Okay, first things first, let's pull up the economic calendar for this week. We have some red folder news to keep in mind. First things first, we're taking a look at the red folder news event here. No red folder news here on Monday, but we do have some here on Tuesday. It's going to be the JOLTS opening and ADP non-farm enrollment. We'll see if that ends up coming out, but we do have some red folder news that is going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As for Wednesday, we have a decent amount of red folder news. We do have that FOMC. So right in the morning, unemployment cost. But the main thing here coming to this week is going to be the FOMC statement. That's going to be a Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, we have Jerome Powell speaking at 2:30. So this is the main thing here coming to this week. And of course, we have unemployment, which is later into the week. And that's about it. So the main thing here is going to be that FOMC statement, as I mentioned. That's going to be at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. And then, of course, Jerome Powell speaking at 2:30. This is really the major news event that we'll kind of be waiting for here into the end of year. We'll see if we really get that kind of Christmas rally now back up and towards our all-time highs. That's what I am expecting. Specifically for the major indices and the rest of the market, is kind of that rally back up and towards that all-time highs that we have. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's go on to the earnings calendar here as well. So for the earnings calendar, we have a decent earnings, a couple big earnings to keep in mind coming to this week, specifically Oracle. That's going to be on Wednesday after close. We have Adobe, a few other ones here as well. Broadcom on Thursday. We have Costco here on Thursday here as well. So if you are invested in these long term, or if you're potentially trading these ones, make sure to keep this in mind. So what we have here, as I mentioned, Oracle, and then we have Broadcom here on Thursday. Alrighty. Let's hop right into the charts. A lot of things to kind of go over. Not too much has happened last week on Thursday and Friday. Not many of the levels have honestly changed, just because we've been ranging past week. I'd say kind of this slow grind towards the upside, which is now expected here with the VIX. But we'll kind of go into the SPY and Qs, mark out some of the key levels that we do have coming into this weekend. Of course, we're going to go into some tech names here in a second. All right, let me grab some water here and then we'll get started. Alrighty. So as you can see, really coming into this week, actually before we do that, if we look at last week's price action, you can see we really didn't do too much here in the overall market. It's just kind of this slow grind, a lot of barcode back towards the upside. Key levels that we have marked out is really now your Friday's lows. You can see kind of multiple touches. But what we have to understand here is that we're holding structure and we're maintaining higher lows for a continued push higher. So for the ES specifically, along with the SPY, we're actually very close to our all-time highs key level. And that's really the level we'd like to see the market gravitate towards. So for the SPY specifically, the key levels that we have is going to be that all-time highs. As for the ES, really coming into today, the key levels we're just going to mark out are the exact same. We haven't really marked out brand new levels here last week, but it's going to be this Friday's lows now, your 68.60, and now you can mark out your previous day highs here as well. you can see as long as you maintain above your previous day lows, we're going to maintain a bullish stance for continuation towards the upside here in the overall markets. So that's what we're going to keep an eye out on coming into today. Another possible scenario above your previous day highs for continuation higher. So the key levels, now we can go back into the 15-minute chart. What we have here, as I mentioned, is going to be that previous day lows. Now we can mark out your previous day highs, which is going to be this 69.04. Let's do that right now. Drag it over. So these are the two levels that we have for the ES coming into market open. Other levels, if you really want, you can mark out your pre-market highs that we've created. This was from Friday, and you can see we have multiple touches around this general area. So really, there's a few couple scenarios that we're going to be looking for upside this morning. Potential bounce off your 68.84 for this continued pushback towards the upside. If markets, let's say, drop, then it's going to be the bounce off your previous day lows for this continuation higher here as well. And then, of course, another possible scenario above your previous day highs for continuation towards now. It's going to be this all-time highs here on the SPY and the ES. So these are three scenarios that we have coming into today for some upside. If you do want to see downside, as I mentioned, I personally don't like shorts. We kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago. I did expect, right, all major dips to get bought up. Any shorts, in my opinion, are just a little bit more difficult. You can see we have a couple of nice shorting opportunities, but overall market is fairly bullish. The only way I'm shorting is if price can finally break underneath its previous day lows. So you can see every single day we've created higher lows here. And until we can break underneath its previous day lows, then I'm not as interested in shorts. If we maintain above your previous day lows, then we could be looking for upside. Once we break underneath your previous day lows and hold, that's where you could see some more downside here in the overall markets. All right, that's what we have for the ES coming into today. Let's go on to the SPY chart. All right, for the SPY chart, fairly similar thesis here. As you can see here on the hourly, every single higher low has been bought up and it's basically holding. We're making higher lows here and we're just continuing to push higher. And now you can see for the SPY, if you just zoom out a little bit, or if you look onto the daily time frame, you can see we're actually fairly close to our all-time highs key level, which is our 690. So what we like to see here for SPY is now really this break back above your all-time highs for this continued push back towards the upside. So as you can see here for the SPY, now let's go back onto the hourly chart. As you can see, we've just been really barcoding the past week, as I mentioned, just consolidation, now breaking above key levels. We want to see that push up and towards our all-time highs. So that's going to be the key level coming into today. Levels that we have marked out is our 686. We have your Friday's lows marked out here now as well. And then we can mark out your previous day highs. So for upside here in the overall markets, really now it's just going to be the maintain above your 686 for this continued push towards upside. Another possible scenario here now is going to be the break above your previous day highs for this continued push up and towards your 689 and above. My main objective, as I mentioned, is going to be that all-time highs key level. So keep an eye out on SPY for a push up in towards your all-time highs. Another possible scenario is going to be the bounce off of now. It's going to be your this is your pre-market low from Friday, 683.50. That is another possible scenario, but as I mentioned, I'd just like to see it build higher lows, preferably above your 686 for this push up and towards the highs. All right, this is what we have for the SPY coming to today. As I mentioned, I'm not really that interested in shorts unless we can get underneath at a minimum 686, or preferably now it's going to be key levels or underneath your previous day lows, which is now going to be the 683.50. All right, that's it for the ES and SPY. I'm going to head on to the NQ and the QQQ here in a second. If you guys do have any charts now, you guys can drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. If you guys haven't watched my YouTube video last night, that was on the 9:30 a.m. candle, or also the first candle strategy. It was basically a remake of my video a couple weeks ago, since that one ended up getting removed off YouTube. So if you guys are interested, you guys can go watch that. Okay, let's go on to the NQ. So as you can see, the NQ is lagging the ES just a little bit. If we look at this on the daily time frame, you can see the NQ is a little bit more bullish. We're coming back up and towards this. Now it's this Wednesday from November the 12th highs. If we're looking at the NQ, similar thesis here. We're kind of coming back up and towards your November 12th highs, but this one is a little bit closer to our all-time highs key level. If we're looking at the now hourly chart here on the NQ, let's go back onto this one. So as you can see here for the NQ, exact same thesis. We've really just been consolidation, and now kind of building up these higher lows. So you can see consolidation, break above, another consolidation period, break above, and now we're basing, and now I just like to see continuation higher. So for the NQ, the key levels that we have marked out coming into today is really going to be those exact levels that I just talked about. Your Tuesday's highs from last week, which is your 25,640. So your 25,640 here on the higher time frames, and then other levels that we have marked out, 25,480. And now we can mark out your previous day highs being that 25,800. So as you can see here, coming to the overall, really the overall markets today here, specifically on the NQ, another possible scenarios, primarily two now here, which is going to be the break above your previous day highs for continuation towards the upside, or now it's going to be the dip back down in towards that 25,640 for this pushback towards the upside. So these are the two scenarios that we have for the NQ. Regardless, right, we're bullish, higher lows are being built. As long as you maintain structure, we're going to be looking for continuation towards the upside. Only way I'm leaning a little bit more bearish intraday is if we get underneath your previous day lows, as I mentioned. So your previous day lows is going to be key for continuation higher. As long as you maintain key levels, right, the thesis going forward, as I mentioned, should just be major pullbacks be bought up for continuation higher. All right, for the NQ chart, fairly similar thesis here. Levels that we can have marked out now can be our your previous day highs, and then we also just have the exact same level as the NQ, which is going to be this 623. So as you can see here, higher lows are being built. We're maintaining above key levels here as well, right? Consolidation, break above, retest, continuation higher. So for now, the QQQ, if we go onto the 15-minute time frame, key levels that we're going to have marked out, as I mentioned, Tuesday's highs from last week. We have your previous day highs. If we really want to mark out other key levels, we can mark out our 625 here as well. But for the Qs, as I mentioned, break above your previous day highs, continuation. The next scenario is going to be potentially the previous day close retest, or now it's going to be all the way back down towards your previous day lows. So exact same thesis compared to the SPY along with the ES and NQ. These are the really three scenarios that we have for the Qs coming to market open. I like to see either the first or second scenario. The third one's not out of the picture here as well, so that's something to keep in mind. As for a few other possible scenarios, I'm only interested in shorts, as I mentioned, underneath that Tuesday's highs, which is going to be that 623.50, or now it's going to be that previous day lows. So shorts, in my opinion, are only valid, or I'd get a lot more confirmation underneath your previous day lows. Of course, there's many scalps that you could be looking for pops and fades off your previous day highs, but I'll be a little bit more cautious of that. Okay, that is it for the indices. Now let's go on to the tech names. As I mentioned, if you guys do have any charts or any tickers you'd now like me to go over, you guys can drop them in the chat. I'll go over most of the Mag 7, and then after that, I'll go on to some other names here as well. Alrighty. What's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, if you guys have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. Okay, let's go on to a couple names. I'm actually gonna have to redo my levels here as well. Did come home a little bit later than I'd like to yesterday, but I'm gonna do my levels all over again tonight. But as you can see here for Tesla, number one, this is actually one of my favorite looking charts here on the higher time frames. Key levels that we can have marked out now is really this all-time highs. I like to see kind of this all-time highs push in the near future. We ended up having a lot of consolidation, broke back underneath, reclaimed. Now we want to see that push back up and towards our all-time highs and above. If you go on to the daily chart, similar thesis here. We reclaim key levels. Now we just like to see a push up and towards our all-time highs. Any major dip here on Tesla be bought up for this push higher. So that's at least the outlook for the near future. As for the levels coming into today and coming into this week, what we're going to have marked out here is our 448. Our 448 here is going to be key, and then we can also mark out our previous day lows. So two scenarios for Tesla coming into today. Potential kind of previous day low, sorry, not previous day low, your 448 bounce for a push higher. Or now it's going to be the reclaim back above your 448 for a push back up and towards your 456. So the two scenarios I have laid out here on Tesla for continuation higher, the key line in the sand for me, 448. If we break underneath 448, hold underneath, potentially we can see actually some more downside here, really backing towards the range that we created from last week. So keep this in mind, 448 going to be a key level as I mentioned. I'm fairly neutral. Currently in the pre-market, we're showing a little bit of weakness. Higher time frame still bullish. So as long as you can maintain above that 448, I'd like to see this push back towards the upside. So we'll keep an eye out on Tesla coming into today. As I mentioned, in the near future, I would like to see that push back up and towards your 470 and above, which will be that all-time highs. We'll keep an eye out on Tesla coming into today. Now let's go on to the next ticker. Next ticker here is NVIDIA, and really now we've just been consolidating in this general area. We had that drop from earnings, and now we're just consolidating in this general area. Last week, we really didn't do too much. Tried breaking back above key levels, really was this 185, was not able to, and now we're just kind of consolidating. So what we like to see in the near future is the break above 185 if we want to see this continue push, really for this earnings reversal back towards the upside. So as you can see, touch here, multiple touches from last week here as well. You'd like to see the break above your 185, hold above that level for this push. Now it's going to be up and towards our 190 and above. So if you would like to see a potential kind of earnings reversal here on NVIDIA, that's going to be the key level 185 and a hold above that level for this push higher. If we reject off this level, right, we're just going to come right back inside the range, but I wouldn't be too worried unless we can break underneath. Now it would be your 180. So this is kind of the range that we're going to have established here. I'd like to see, as I mentioned, the break towards the upside above this 185 key pivot. If we can do that, we can see this nice push back up and towards our 190 and potentially above. If we reject off this 185, we're going to come back down in towards the lows, which will be your 180. I'll be a little bit more cautious on NVIDIA. If we break underneath this 180, then we can see some more downside back down in towards that 173. So this is what we have coming into today here for NVIDIA. As I mentioned, keep in mind on this 185, I would like to see a potential earnings reversal here on NVIDIA for a move back towards the upside. We do have a couple major earnings regarding AI, which is going to be key. We do have AVGO that's later into the week on Thursday after close. So this is what we have for NVIDIA. Now let's go on to AMD. So AMD here, fairly similar thesis compared to NVIDIA as well. You can see we basically defended our daily gap here on the higher time frames, and now we're just kind of consolidating. So we're still underneath this key level, which is the drop that we had from November the 20th, whereas most of the markets are already back above our key high, specifically on the NQ. But NVIDIA and AMD have been really lagging behind and have been showing a little bit more weakness compared to the overall markets. So what I like to see at a minimum is going to be the break above 224. If we can break above this 224, we can see a push back up and towards our 236, which is going to be that November 20th highs. If we ultimately reject off this area, we can see a push right back down in towards our 200 key level support, because as you can see, right, lower highs are being built. If we reject off this, it's just another lower high, and we can see a push right back down in towards that 200. So this is going to be the key level, 224, as I mentioned, coming into this week. Let's go into the hourly chart. So if we go into the hourly chart, the key level that we have marked out, exact same thesis. We're at 220. That's going to be the line in the sand for me. And then for the downside, we have our 214. If you want to see upside, really above your 220 for continuation higher, or now it's going to be above your 224. Those are the key levels that we have marked out on AMD coming into market open. As for some downside, I'll be a little bit more cautious. As you can see, higher lows are being built here. I'd really only be interested in downside, potential kind of pop and fade, where now it's going to be really underneath this 214 for continuation lower. So for AMD, these are the key levels that we're going to have marked out coming into today. As I mentioned, with the semiconductors really lagging behind the overall markets, we'll see what happens later into the week with some earnings that we do have for some more guidance. And then for NVIDIA and AMD, keep an eye out on a couple key levels. As for Apple, this one, nice push up in towards our all-time highs and then kind of faded back towards the downside. Key level that we have marked out now is just going to be your previous all-time highs. Hold above this level for this push back towards upside. You can see for Apple, hit our main objective, and that's why we're having a little bit of reaction off of our key level. Just mark out your earnings high. Really solid push up in towards your earnings high, broke back underneath your earnings high, and now we're having a reversal. So this is very much well expected. Now the key levels here on Apple moving forward. Let's turn back on the drawings. So for Apple moving forward, it's going to be your 280. And we're also going to mark out here our 276. If you want to see upside, reclaim back above 280 for a push higher. If you want to see some downside, potential pop and fade. Now it's going to be really underneath your Friday's lows, which is this 276 for this continued push towards the downside here now as well. So these are the levels that we have marked out on Apple coming into today. As for a few other tickers here that we have marked out, Google, key levels that we can have, it's going to be your previous day highs here now as well. Just go on to the lower time frames. Key levels that we can have marked out for Google. Let's just readjust this level to match up with our previous day highs along with our Thursday's highs of last week. So these are the levels. We have our 323. We also now have our 318. So these are the key levels that we have marked out. Potential reclaim back above our 323 for a push higher. Potential bounce off your Friday's lows of last week, which is going to be your 318 for this push higher. So two scenarios here for Google. I'm not that short bias here on Google, fairly bullish. It's starting to base here now as well after this big push higher. What I like to see on Google, break above your previous day highs, which is going to be this 320 as I mentioned, for this push up and towards our all-time highs, 333. So these are the levels that I have marked out. Keep an eye on Google. I like this one, as I mentioned, above your previous day highs for continuation. As for Meta, we had news last week regarding, fairly bullish news sentiment regarding is basically the AI metaverse. But this one, nice gap up here. Now we're right back up and towards its gap fill that we created here from earnings. Meta, if we can get above our earnings gap, our gap fill basically low, we can see a potential push towards the upside. If we come up, reject off this area, then we're just going to come back down and fill the gap that we recently just created. Regardless, longer term, I am fairly bullish here on Meta, and I'd like to see that continuation higher. But in the short term, let's keep an eye out on the key levels that we have marked out. So the key levels that we have marked out here in the short term on Meta is now going to be that 674. We have that daily gap, which is going to be our 680. And now new levels that we can have marked out is going to be that previous day lows, which happens to be our Thursday's lows here as well. So mark out 674. We can mark out our 662. Key levels that we have marked out, right? Break above our key scenarios, break above your previous day highs for continuation. Another possible scenario is the consolidation, break back above later into the session. And of course, if we drop all the way back down and towards that 662, you can see that push back up and towards our upside here as well. So these are the scenarios that we have for Meta. I'm really only interested in a Meta pullback or potential shorts underneath your previous day lows. So for all the tickers, to help kind of avoid shorting the markets, is going to be underneath your previous day lows on all these tickers. If we're not underneath their previous day lows, I'm not interested in shorts. Just because, right, we're in a bullish environment, as long as we maintain key levels, we can expect continuation higher. So this is what we have for Meta. As for a few other tickers here, right, Amazon, this one, slowing down just a little bit back in towards key levels, 227. We have your 231 marked out. Reclaim is in play above your 231. So for a few other tickers, really not too much to talk about here. Microsoft in the higher, on the higher time frames, going to have to reclaim back above your 490 for continuation higher. And then even Netflix, this one has been showing a lot more weakness compared to the overall market key level. It's going to be that 108 that it has to reclaim. So a couple key levels here for Netflix. This one really been lagging behind the overall markets. Key level now is your 103. Previous resistance, support, now turning into resistance. So if you'd like to see continuation above your 103, currently we're rejecting. Kind of these pop and fades have been pushing this back towards the downside. Alrighty. So yeah, that is most of the tech names here now. I'll go over my main watches here in a second coming to today. But if you guys do have any tickers or any charts, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys would drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. All right, let me scroll up here. Let me answer some questions, and then I'll go into a few other tickers. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Yeah, let me check out Palantir. What time is it? It's at the bottom right, 8:33. The market opens at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. What indicators do you use on that 5? Not exactly sure what you mean. Yeah, I don't have any indicators on this chart currently. Do you do live trading? Yeah, live trade every single day. Okay, let's go on to Palantir. So Palantir, as I mentioned, this one looks good. Bouncing off key levels of support. I talked about this one last week for a potential reclaim back above this key level, which was your Thursday, November the 20th. If you can get back above that level, you can see a potential kind of mean reversion here now on Palantir. If you go into the lower time frames, every dip has now been holding up. So you can see, right, consolidation or this nice kind of push higher, higher lows, break above this key high. On Friday, we end up having a nice move above your Thursday's highs. So you can see touch here, multiple touches, and then Friday, nice break, retest, continuation above your 178. So now the key levels you're going to have marked out coming into today, previous day highs, drag it over. You have your previous day lows, previous day highs. If you do want to see continuation higher, above your previous day highs for a pushback towards the upside. That's really the only main scenarios I have here on Palantir coming to today, or the potential kind of reclaim back above your pre-market lows for this push higher here as well. So a few scenarios that we have on Palantir, at least for a longer term outlook now, as I mentioned. If you look at this on the hourly chart, this one now can see a potential mean reversion back up and towards the first major target, which would be your 182. And then if we can now, as long as we maintain above key levels on Palantir, I like to see kind of this push back up and towards our 192 and above. So these are the levels here. Just look for major dips, as I mentioned, for a push back up and towards. Now it's going to be this 190. As for AVGO, so AVGO here and Oracle do have earnings later into the week. As for AVGO, this one has just been maintaining above key levels. This has been one of the leaders back up and towards the highs. The past, I'd say, really past quarter, this has been outperforming key levels that we have marked out. Let's just mark out this level once again. It's just going to be our 390 now, which is also your previous day highs. Next key levels is really back up and towards our all-time highs, which is your 404. So you can see really solid push above now your 392 for this continuation higher. We're up about 3% in the pre-market. So as for Oracle now, we just kind of came closer to all-time highs. Of course, this pullback down in towards your previous day highs is fairly far away. So we're not going to be looking for that. But we can be looking for the bounce off 400, or now it's going to be above your pre-market highs for this push up and towards your all-time highs. Regardless, you're going to be looking for AVGO all-time highs move coming into market open. Let me actually just kind of refine this. So this is your all-time highs, 404 here. So that's the main target for AVGO coming into today. As for a few other tickers that we do have, it's going to be Oracle. This one also does have earnings later into the week. It is going to be, let's pull this back up. This is on Wednesday after close, and then Broadcom is going to be Thursday after close. So for AVGO, this one slowly finally finding a base here. That's the key level I kind of talked about last week. Now for Oracle, the key level that we're going to have marked out. Let's go back onto the hourly chart. The number one key level that I have marked out was our 210. Once we reclaim back above that 210, nice kind of flip for this continuation higher. The next key levels that we have marked out, it's going to be that previous day highs. So that previous day highs are 219 for this continuation higher on Oracle. So this is your Friday's highs. As long as you can maintain above your Friday's highs, we'd like to see this hold for this continued push up and towards our pre-market highs and above. And we do have room up and towards that 225. So that's going to be key here for Oracle coming into today. See a couple of you guys typing in SoFi. This one recently had some news which dropped the overall markets. Which dropped SoFi. But in my opinion, this is fairly bullish. Where a lot of times, whenever you do have stock offerings, right, it is a short term, right, bearish, but in the long term, plus if SoFi, right, not really included into the S&P 500, but in the near future, I think SoFi could get that S&P 500 inclusion, and that's really going to help that for eventually a push towards the upside, right? As I mentioned, really nothing has changed on my stance, at least longer term on this ticker. I talked about it a lot longer, maybe a couple months or a year ago, but this one, all right, similar thing. As long as you maintain above key levels, even if we dip, right, these are just going to be good buying opportunities for the near future. But key levels, at least in the short term, as you can see, we're just been consolidating, right? Not too much to talk about, a lot of consolidation here. Next levels or key levels of support, release 25. As long as you can maintain above 25, you can see this push higher. As for Hood, similar thesis, key levels that we broke underneath, right? Reclaim, nice pushback towards the upside. Now let's go on to the hourly chart. So for Hood, the key levels that we have marked out, let's just get rid of this. Extend this one over. Key levels that we have on Hood now is just going to be this 130. Other levels you can have marked out now is going to be your previous day highs. So for hood, as long as you maintain above, now it's those, this 130. You can see this continue push back towards the upside, or now it's going to be above your previous day highs for this pushback higher here as well. So this is what we have coming into today. Let me go on to my main watches. It's already 8:40 here, so I'll go into my main watches and then I'm going to get ready for market open. So as I mentioned, no red folder news here on Monday for the overall markets. SPY, we do have room back up and towards our all-time highs, which is at 689. What I'd like to see today is to just maintain above key levels. So for SPY, my line in the sand today is going to be this 686. If we can hold above that, we can see continuation. Break underneath it. Potentially you can see your previous day lows, 684. So those are my key levels for the SPY. For the Qs, leaning a little bit more towards the upside, but for the QQQ, my key level is going to be this 626 for a pushback up and towards. Now it's going to be this previous day highs and above. My main watches for today, let's keep an eye out on Tesla. As I mentioned, 448. If we can hold or potential reclaim, we can see a pushback towards the upside. We break underneath. I'm not that interested in shorts, but coming to Monday morning, we can see a potential nice shorting opportunity if we stay heavy right off the bat. We do have to be careful because we're gapping down. Majority of the times when you gap down, it's just a lot harder to short, but it is a Monday, so we could see a little bit of spillage right off the bat. That's something to keep in mind. As for NVIDIA, key level is going to be this 183 that we're going to have to get above for some upside. We reject, we can see continuation lower. If we reclaim, we can see a push back up and towards that 184. AMD, similar thesis, 220. Semis consolidation, just be a little bit more cautious on these ones. Apple, this one's staying heavy. This one most likely now is going to gravitate back down in towards that 276. Google, one of my favorite watches for continuation higher. Key level, previous day highs, 322. Break above, hold for this continuation up and towards that 327. And then for Meta, key level 674. And really, besides that, not too much to talk about. I like Palantir here for continuation. AVGO, of course, is fairly bullish as well. So my main watches for some upside, really Palantir. AVGO looks solid. Keep an eye out on Google for continuation higher. And then for the rest of the names like Tesla, NVIDIA, AMD, fairly neutral on these ones. So don't really have a bias to either side. So I'm opening to playing both sides on these ones right here. But as for some upside, as I mentioned, keep an eye out on Google, Palantir, along with AVGO. All right, that is going to be it for me today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy that. If you did, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. And yeah, that's about it. I'm going to get ready for market open here now. And never seen Jack drinking anything other than water. Yeah, I always drink water. Throat's always, especially during the winter time, it's a little bit sore up here in Canada. So I just got to keep hydrated. I do trade live video or just with video as well. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today. And I will see you guys all tomorrow morning. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Peace.